Hello, everybody, and welcome to my live stream. This is May the 4th, so I want to wish everybody a happy Star Wars Day. May the Force be with you, and also happy Free Comic Book Day. I hope everybody was able to get out to a comic book store today and support your local comic book shop and maybe pick up a few comics or epic collections or whatever else you want there. Um, Facebook has removed the feature to stream directly into groups. So if someone can post the link to this in my Epic Collection group, that'd be great. James, I bet you're on that right now, because I think people would love to know that it's happening there. I've got a box to open up right here, a box with some Epic Collections in it. But before I want to do that, I have um, I have a special box that I want to open up, and let's see here. Oh, look at this. The legend, the icon, the star, the hunk Curtis. Thank you very much for that. And may the 4th be with you too, Kyle. Oh man, we don't have any local comic book stores in Bolivia, but I did pick up some free stuff digitally on Amazon. That's too bad you don't have any in Bolivia. That makes it tough, right? I hope that someday somebody will be able to start up a comic book store in Bolivia just for you. Okay, so this book here is one that it is Marvel related, but it's not published by Marvel. I'm sure you can guess based on that description. It is Atlas. Oh man, look at that big dent in the top. Don't you just hate that? Anyway, I can. I'll probably get that exchange. Let's see if I can get over here a little bit more. This is the Atlas Comics Library #2, Venus Volume 2. And I'll explain why there's two number twos here. But this is a collection of comics that were published by Marvel back when they were called Atlas Comics way back in the 1950s. And I've been looking forward to this book for a while, and I finally picked up a copy of it. It is published by Fantagraphics. They have the license to print this old material, and so they are doing that. They have some really, really nice looking restorations straight from scans from the old comics, and they do some touch ups and such. Um, really, really great. So, this is the second book in the series, which is why it's called Atlas Library #2. The first volume being this one right here, Adventures into Terror. Um, Here's what they look like side by side. One's a little shorter than the other. I Yeah, there for some reason I don't know all the details, but there were some printing issues here where they have really, really wide white margins. They weren't supposed to be this wide, and I wonder if the trim is a little shorter for some reason as well. But this one, the Venus book, looks like the pages are all printed at the size that they were meant to be. So the history of Venus here. This was a romance comic book at the beginning, starring this character Venus, and the Marvel Masterworks did the first 8 issues of this series, and then the Atlas era, the Golden Age Marvel Masterworks, that line didn't do well, so they kind of canceled it, and the second volume of Venus never came out. And as far as the comic is concerned, at that point, it does a hard left turn into the world of space and science fiction and some horror and everything like that. And it's a completely different book, but still starring Venus. It's just not the romance comic that it was before. And so this book collects the second half of that series, all of the sci-fi stuff. It picks up right exactly where the old Marvel Masterworks left off. Um, Let's see, do we have any comics here? Alan says, I've got the Venus book. It's excellent. Fantagraphics are doing a top job with the format and cleanup of these Atlas books to date. Are these the same scans as the Atlas Masterworks or are they new remasters? So here's the thing. Um, like I said, this stuff is not from Marvel Masterworks. These comics never appeared in the Marvel Masterworks line. And the Masterworks, they restore things in a completely different way than the way that this is doing here. So with Masterworks, they take the black line They strip away all the color, so you're just left with just the black line, and then they digitally recolor everything based on the colors that they see in the comic books. And that's how they do that. This one is not like that. This one is scanned straight from the comics and then just retouched. They take out a lot of the yellow to account for the fading paper, and they'll retouch some of the bad out of register stuff and that kind of thing. But for the most part, these are still scans of comics, but really, really beautifully and lovingly restored. Um, More like you would restore a painting rather than recreate a painting, which is what the masterworks do. Which is how Marvel tackles all of the restorations. They do a ground up. They strip away all the color and rebuild all of those kind of comic pages, um, preserving the line quality as best that they can. But there you go. This is I'm really looking forward to reading these stories. So it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. But I'm gonna have to see about that. No one likes that to show up in their book there. I'll have to see about getting a replacement. I ordered this from Indigo, and they are great about issuing replacements for stuff like that. Okay, now we can open up. Let's get some stuff out of my way here. We can open up this box that has some epic collections in it. If I can find my knife. A lot of the restoration on the Fantagraphics Atlas book is being done in the UK by a chap called Alan Harvey. Fantagraphics themselves are also contributing to some page restoration. Yeah, Alan Harvey does a really, really great job. And he also did a different book that I think helped sell Fantagraphics on this idea, called Atlas or Atlas at War, a bunch of war comics from the Atlas era, and it was really, really great. So awesome to see that overlooked era of Marvel being made available, easily available. You're right. It's really good. Um, they've already announced the third and fourth volume. And I will they get to stuff like Captain America? I don't know. I don't know if their license extends to like the actual known characters or if they have to go with the anthology stuff. I don't know what their deal is with Fantagraphics. Atlas at War. There you go. Yeah, some great Kirby art in that one. Do you like the EC archive stuff? I do like the EC archive stuff. I think that there's a lot of really, really great content there. A lot of fun, uh, eh, quality storytelling. I do like those ones a lot. I've been buying the paperbacks as they've been coming out. Okay, Epic Collection time. This is what we have to talk about today. If I can get a better shot, you can see my dirty basement there, all my kids' costumes. This is a reprint of X-Men Volume 12, The Gift. And oh, interesting. Okay, let's sorry, I'm not in my usual spot, so I don't have the same setup as usual. This is that's the X-Men 198 to 189 to 198 plus X-Men Annual 8, X-Men and Alpha Flight number 1 and 2, and the Nightcrawler miniseries by Dave Cockrum with Dave Cockrum art. This one looks very similar to the original printing. However, I've noticed right away it has a different character on the spine. Now we have Doctor Doom on an X-Men spine. That's kind of an odd choice, but I think they had Wolverine on here before, and Wolverine was not on the cover. So I think that they're trying to get a character who is on the cover, but why not feature like Colossus or someone actually on the X-Men? That's kind of a weird a choice there. But anyway, um, the restoration looks. I think they're. I don't know if they're using different files, but I don't think that this era has been masterworked quite yet, or maybe it has recently. I can't remember. But this is there's a lot of fun stuff in here. Um, Especially, I really like the Nightcrawler miniseries. It is just kind of a whimsical, fun romping across the seven seas, across different universes, and it goes into some pretty bizarre places. and it's Chris Claremont and Dave, or is this? I can't remember if Chris writes this one too. Let me just double check. Oh, Dave Cockrum writes this one as well. Writer, he's the writer and the artist, which is really cool. Um, this one has the first appearance of Nimrod. Yeah, and this actually has the Barry Windsor Smith story in here as well. Life Death. If you've been watching the new X-Men cartoon, Life Death 2, you'll see an adaptation of this storyline, which has some phenomenal artwork from Barry Windsor Smith. And I love his choice of the colors. Did he do the coloring too? He might have. Let's just check that because really amazing coloring. Yep, I think he did. And I love just that he uses the purples and the deep purples and pinks so prominently throughout this, highlighting it with some yellows too, is really, really great. Uh, it's just such a stark contrast when you're flipping through this book and you come across, the John Romita Jr. pages and whoever did this one. I think this is Steve Lealoa did the annual. Let's just double check here. I don't know where the title page for this one is. The Adventures of Lockheed and Space Dragon and his pet girl Kitty. This is a fun annual, but it's got some kind of weird art to it. Um, I think it's Steve Lealoa, if I'm not mistaken. Oh yeah, there it is. There's the credit page. Yes, it is. And then you flip through this and you get yourself to the Barry Windsor Smith issue, and it's like, wow, all of a sudden, so different and so just I love it. Just beautiful. Um, and then Dave Cockrum wraps it up with some a little bit more cartoony stuff, and it's just wonderful. This volume is solid from start to finish, really great, and it's just got a little bit of everything. It's got Alpha Flight and Loki. Um, has this era been collected in trade paperback before? I don't think so. Like a couple of issues here and there have. Um, I think the Alpha Flight stuff maybe has. But, for the most part, yeah, this is, some uncollected stuff. But, I mean, this volume has been in print, or it was printed, like, I don't know, 10 years ago at this point, I think. So, it's been out for a while. Little late, but hello from Newfoundland. Awesome. Hi, Ryan. Does it have Colossus versus Juggernaut? I can't remember if that's in this issue, is it? Colossus versus Juggernaut? I'm not sure. There's Juggernaut right there with Nimrod. Someone remind me. Love Barry's art. Yes. Um, I ordered Captain America Mighty Marvel Masterwork so I can see what a Mighty Marvel Masterwork is like. It's very similar to a regular Masterwork, except it's a smaller format. It's not standard comic size. It's a little bit smaller. Um, Trying to find there's a comment that someone made earlier, but I can't find it now. Anyway, hi Curtis, what have I missed? Well, Rascal Wolf, you haven't missed anything epic collection wise because I was just talking about this reprint, but I was showing off also the new Atlas Comics Library Volume 2 Venus. But I have a new epic collection to show you, so you're just in time for that. Let's see what it is. Thor, The Lost Gods, Thor Epic Collection Volume 24. This is a weird issue, a weird volume, because it comes at a time when Thor was in the Heroes Reborn world, and they decided to keep the title going because Thor himself wasn't getting an actual Heroes Reborn title. He was just kind of lumped in with the Avengers. So they renamed the Thor series. They renamed it back to Journeys into Mystery. So this collects Journey into Mystery number 503 to 513, plus Journey into Mystery minus one, a Valkyrie one shot, and Hercules and the Heart of Chaos numbers 1 to 3. So this stuff was issued in an old trade paperback many years ago, but it only collects the Journey into Mystery stuff. It doesn't have the Valkyrie one shot, and it doesn't have Hercules and the Heart of Chaos, and I don't even remember if it has the minus one issue. Um, so you're getting here a Thor volume that barely has Thor in it. It has a Thor stand-in, but it has to do with all of the people in Asgard who are who don't remember that they are that they're gods. They have nowhere to go. It says here Asgard has been destroyed. Its gods are scattered across Earth, living mortal lives with no memory of their past selves. So they have to kind of put put the pieces back together to reclaim their godhood. So you want to take a look inside? It looks like Journey into Mystery runs from November 1996 to 1997 to October 1997, and then the Valkyrie one shot is January, and then Hercules and the Heart of Chaos is August, September, and October of 1997. So the end of Journey into Mystery coincides with the return of the heroes from Journey into Mystery, and so Thor gets his own book back. It restarts with number one, and Journey into Mystery actually continues after that, and it becomes a Black Widow solo title for a few issues, and then it becomes Shang-Chi um, solo title for a little while, and then it goes somewhere else. I can't even remember who the last one, and then they finally cancel it after that. So the artwork is very indicative of what you'd see in the 90s by Mike Diodato Studios, which, let's see here. Diodato Studios is Carlos Mota and a few other people. And so it's not even Mike Diodato doing the art; it's his stable of artists, which is kind of what Marvel was doing with Heroes Reborn, is they were farming out or getting other companies to take on the characters, and I think they kind of did the same thing here. So yes, this is all after Onslaught. This is during the Heroes Reborn era. The quality of the restoration is very standard for the 90s. There's some moire patterns in the background of the K tones, which is often the case with these 90s reprints because of the early days of digital coloring. So yeah, there you go. Who's the old bearded guy? I think you could probably guess. But yeah, this is a weird volume. So, like I said, Thor is not even in this volume. But you do get to see the Warriors 3, like Loki is here, Sif, all of these guys. Um, they're all here. It's just Thor is missing, and there's some looks I think Salvi Sema toward the end, and then here you go. Here's the Valkyrie one shot, which I actually didn't even know existed until this book was announced. Um, But let's see who's on the artwork for this one here. It says, "Oh, J.M. DeMatteis does the plot. That's cool." With Len Wein doing the script. And check this out. Pablo Raimondi doing half of the book, Manny Clark doing the other half of the book, Joe Rubenstein doing the inks, and then Manny Clark inking his own pages with Al Milgrom doing. There's a whole bunch of different artists in here, but kind of looks cool. So that'll be good to check out. I know nothing of this story. And then let's have a look at the Hercules story. Oh, there's another cool shot of Valkyrie on her horse. That era of Thor is not for me, but I'm sure others will want it. S I might upgrade my older trade paperback for the one shot. Would this be the last classic era for epic Thor? Well, you know what? I don't think so, because we know that the modern there's Hercules and the Heart of Chaos. Modern era epic collections for Thor is starting with the J. Michael Straczynski run, which means everything before that is considered classic. So I bet volume 25 is going to be Heroes Reborn. And then volume 26 will be Heroes Return. And we'll probably get 4 or 5 volumes of Heroes Return Thor, maybe even more, because J. Michael Straczynski's run comes pretty late in the game compared to the other Heroes Reborn endpoints. So we might get more. Yeah, I haven't mapped that out. I don't know. This Hercules book looks interesting, but there's not a whole lot of action, which I was very surprised. Just flipping through here, looks like Shield's involved. Um, Look at all those muscles. What a manly man that guy is. Looks like he's on a mission with Shield altogether. So I haven't read this miniseries either, so I don't know. You want to know what bonus features are in here? Let's have a look. There is an article from Marvel Vision number 9. There is a Journey into Mystery 505 letters page right here, as well as some original art from Sal Buscema. It's always nice to see some original art. And then the old trade paperback cover, which is pretty much the same as this one. And that's it. Not much in the way of bonus features from this era. And it's a thin one as well. How many pages? Three. Looks like we're just about 400 pages. So definitely thinner than the X-Men Epic Collection that's coming out as well. So there you go. That's what's new. This is coming out the second week of May, or sorry, the second week of June, which would be the 14th, I think, coming out of on the 14th of June. Would there be a Heroes Reborn volume? Thor didn't have a solo book then. You're right. Sorry, absolutely. And I even said that earlier in I even said that earlier in this live stream that Thor didn't have one because he was only in Avengers. That's why they kept this title going. So yes, volume 25 would indeed be Heroes Return. No Heroes Reborn. Thank you. What do you feel about the epic collections of Power Man and Iron Fist? Those are, if you love 70s Marvel, I think you'll have fun time. It kind of dips in, it goes through a bunch of different writers and such, and so it has some highs and lows, but it ends pretty strong. I like the ending, and then it leads, or it doesn't lead anywhere really, but you can follow the character's progression after that through some other Marvel trades, but it's pretty decent. If it's not too much trouble, could you please go through and talk about the new Fatal Attractions Epic 2, please? Yes, I can. Do you need me to get it? Do I need to actually get a copy so we can have a look? Hold on a second. Okay. Live streams are not prepared for all these questions. Sorry, I'm banging my laptop around. You want to talk about fatal attractions, and I think you want to talk about this because you want to know why it's mapped the way it is, right? Because this, even though it's called Fatal Attractions, it doesn't have all of the Fatal Attractions chapters. It only has the two X-Men chapters and the Wolverine chapter. So it's missing Excalibur, X Factor, X Force, and that's it. And then to make it even weirder, let's go to the table of contents. We have Uncanny X-Men 304, which is the Fatal Attractions chapter for Uncanny X-Men, right here. on page 98. And then we have Marvel Unlimited number 2, Uncanny X-Men 305, Uncanny X-Men 306, then the Gambit 4-issue miniseries, and then finally we get to another Fatal Attractions chapter with X-Men 25 and then Wolverine Fatal Attractions Wolverine 75 right there. So there's a good like 300 pages in between the two Fatal Attractions chapters. Why do they do that? Well, because because actually the stories do fall in the middle of the continuity. Um, the main parts, and if you have never read Fatal Attractions, then you might want to stop watching this live stream right now because of the significant thing that happens in X-Men 25 is that two things: Magneto's defeated, and Wolverine loses his adamantium in these two issues here, 25 and Wolverine 75. And so at the end of X-Men 304, the story is not resolved. Then X-Men Unlimited number 2 is a Magneto story. Uncanny X-Men 305, they're still talking about putting the Magneto protocols into place, and X-Men 306, um, even though it was published after, has an editor note saying this issue takes place before X-Men 25, and they're talking still about how Magneto's not hasn't been defeated yet. And then the Gambit miniseries, Wolverine still has his adamantium, and he's still part of the team. He hasn't left the team yet. So this one needs to come before those issues down there, and then this one has to come after all of this because Gambit and Rogue are still talking. They're starting their relationship, and they're still talking about Gambit's mysterious past that hasn't been revealed yet. Well, here's where it gets revealed. So it all actually is mapped out in order, in a good story order that makes sense. It's just weird that the two Fatal Attractions chapters are split up. Oh, and then you get these weird pages where you have to hold it like this. So in the with a single issue, not a huge deal to have these kind of pages. In a chunky trade, a little harder to deal with. I can't even imagine trying to read this in an omnibus and turning your huge omnibus book sideways. Okay, I didn't know that it was mapped like that, but that's interesting. Is this what you wanted to know, Logan? Is that what I hope that that's what you were asking about because that's kind of where I went. Here's a good one. We need Spider-Woman Epic Collection books. Yes, we do. I agree with that completely. That would be really, really great. I really like your YouTube short where you went through all of the books coming out in April. Will you do that for May? I will. In fact, I'm going to do that this afternoon. So look for that on my I'll look for that on my TikTok channel. And there we go. Let's see here. You're asking, is X-Men After Age of Apocalypse any good? Um, that really depends on if you like that style of book or that style of comics or not. This is the 90s, and so it is during this period where like there's a lot of manga influence and um there's a lot of I don't know, just it's just it's the 90s. Personally, I think there are some great stories in the after Age of Apocalypse. And I also really like Joe Madureira's art. I was a big fan of it back then. I was an impressionable teenager, and so that stuff stuck with me at the time. Take it or leave it. I loved Age of Apocalypse, and I love that stuff there. Fatal Attraction is the ultimate distillation of behind the scenes struggles with continuity. Yeah, it is what it is, and I think that's probably one of the main reasons why they didn't include those other issues because it would have just you would have had to put the books in split up the story over 2 volumes. But also, a lot of those other Fatal Attractions books don't directly have anything to do with the X Men exactly, so it's a little bit different. Hey, Phil, a little late to the party. Were you napping? Are the 3 missing Fatal Attractions tie-ins important? No, the way that crossover worked is they were kinda standalone stories that all have to do kind of with the same thing, but they all had their different focus. So, um, it's you're not missing out. Um, there aren't any missing there aren't any text recap pages saying what you missed because you haven't missed anything relevant to the stuff that's being told in this story right here. Thank you for doing these live streams. It helps with my Epic Collection selections. I'm glad. Did you take advantage of Free Comic Book Day today? I did. I took my kids down there to the comic book store and they picked out a few free comic books and bought some Pokemon cards. And I got a Spider-Man Free Comic Book Day. And yeah, there you go. My daughter picked out a Monster High free comic book, and my son picked out a Pokemon free comic book. And yeah, it was a good time. I hope all of you were able to get out to Free Comic Book Day as well. The Blood Ties crossover with Avengers comes right after Fatal Attractions, I think, right? Yes, the next volume, volume 23, should be Fatal Attractions. It's interesting because Fatal Attractions was a crossover between X-Men and Avengers West Coast. So um, there are um, the volume that the most recent Avengers volume that came out, like more recent volume, is The Gathering, which had the Blood Ties story. And then the volume after this is going to be Blood Ties. And then the volume after Ultron Unbound, which is the West Coast Avengers volume that recently came out, is also going to have Blood Ties. So we're at a point where we could be seeing Blood Ties, uh, the whole story possibly in three epic collections, kind of all at the same time. So it's kind of wild. Will they put that all in all completely? For X-Men, I think that the whole blood tie story will be in that volume, and because it's 6 issues, it'll take up, at least a quarter of the book. Um, West Coast Avengers, maybe they could get away with not having the whole story in it, but I kinda think they will. Okay, that was our live stream for today. If you missed it, we talked about 2 epic collections. We talked about Thor Volume 24, The Lost Gods, which is during the Heroes Reborn era of Thor when he was in a different universe. So Thor is actually not very present in this book at all. And then the reprint of X-Men Epic Collection Volume 12, The Gift. And if you were looking in your comic book store to wonder if it's the first or second print, Doctor Doom is now on the spine of this book, indicating second edition. First edition has Wolverine. There you go. And then if you haven't checked it out already, I encourage you to try and find a copy of Atlas Comics Library number 2, Venus Volume 2. There's no Venus Volume 1, so you'll just go straight to Venus Volume 2, and hopefully yours will not have a big dent in the cover like mine. There we go. I'm going to leave you with that. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and thank you for watching my live stream. It's been a pleasure talking with all of you. See you later.